Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the studio this evening. And this evening we're going to be painting, where's he at? That little guy up there. A little garden gnome. Seems like I'm seeing them everywhere lately. I guess it is garden time of the year. I've pre-drawn my little gnome here. I think you can see on my sheet of paper. Today I'm going to be using a piece of Bauhong watercolor paper, 140 pounds, student grade. I bought it in a roll. Had to roll it out, cut it, pre-wet it to get it mostly flat, and then drew on it, and that's kind of where we're at right now. My colors off to my right hand side over here are my M gram colors that I have used in the studio for many years. You can see the colors flashing by down here, and we can talk about what those colors are and why I have those colors and why I like those colors, and if there were any colors I'd want to change, what they would be. The brushes that I'm going to be using today are my King Art brushes. I've got several of them here. I really like these brushes, and at the moment I don't see any need to change off of those. Before I start with the painting, and I'm just going to kind of jump right in as I usually do, you'll notice this guy doesn't have a whole lot of color. It's just a concrete kind of gnome, and sometimes I really like that. Sometimes maybe it's not the best thing in the world, but sometimes I really like that because it allows you to paint what you want kind of in your style. It just takes away maybe one barrier. I don't feel like I have to be a slave to whatever the original painting is a little bit. And so I'm kind of excited to figure out what colors I want to use on this guy. I was thinking a red hat, a green jacket. You can't see much of his pants in here, but some blue pants and some brown shoes. Classic colors there. Before I get started, I want to say hello to those that I recognize in chat. Dana is here. Natalie is here. Hello. Anybody else who's here, please feel free to say hello. I do like to have conversations while I'm painting. I think it makes my painting more enjoyable. I hope you ask questions about what I'm painting, and it helps you understand my process, and if it helps you understand painting a little bit better, then that's pretty good too. Liza is here. Hello, Liza. Good to see you again. And anybody who's new here, we're all a pretty friendly bunch here on Wednesday evenings. We do typically get caught in talking about those three things that we all use in watercolors: paint, paper, and brushes. But we do venture into other topics quite often. So if you've got a question about any of those three things, throw it out there and we'll all take a stab at answering. I certainly don't want to suggest that I'm going to know the answer to every question that gets asked. Lots of times I end up learning some really interesting things here on this Wednesday night. And let's see, Diane is here. First time, welcome. Where do you hail from, or what part of the country or world do you hail from? I ask. We have people from across the country that show up here. That's pretty exciting. And from time to time, we have a couple of people from outside of the United States that show up, that's always exciting. So let's see. I've got this guy's hat painted red, obviously, and it's really pretty wet. You can see the shine on it there. It's too wet maybe to add a little bit more, but it's going to dry pretty quickly, I think. And I'm going to start adding a little bit just to darken a few areas that I know are going to be quite a bit dark. From Alabama. All right. Well, welcome. Yeah, Liza's going to organize everybody to come out and visit me out here. If you come out during the summer, bring some winter clothes. I live on the Pacific Coast here in California, and today here at my house we probably got up to 70 degrees. So we have some cool summers, and our winters actually are quite nice. So everybody can come out for winter. I don't know that it's going to be warm for any winter, but it probably won't be cold. Uncle 60 is here. Hello, good to see you again. It's been a little while since you've been here. Happy to have you back again. All right, so I've got just some water on, or some paint on here. It's probably spread a little bit more than I wanted, but that's okay. It's a little bit wet. That's okay. I'm going to leave it sit and do what it's going to do. It's going to dry up. We're going to move on to the green color of his jacket here, and this will dry and get really nice. It'll leave us with some general areas that we can come back to a little bit later and darken up and really add some depth and detail to. So I'm going to go in here. Let's see, right around his hand here. Let's see. Diane, are you a watercolor painter? How long have you been painting? I'll tell you my story, or I'll tell you parts of my stories. I tell it a lot, but it's fun. I'm not a classically trained watercolor artist. I've more or less taught myself. I have taken a few classes, and I guess the jury is still out on whether those classes have helped my watercolor painting or whether those classes have hurt my watercolor painting. I think either way, I think I've learned quite a bit in taking those classes. And I'm happy to talk about anything that has happened in those. Been recovering from an appendicitis. Holy cow. Uncle 60, I hope you're all right. Appendicitis is typically painful, right? Or can be, and not fun, but I think not life-threatening. No, I guess it could be life-threatening, couldn't it? Well, whatever and however. Uncle 60, I'm glad you're back with us. I hope you're 100% better from that and feeling well. I think anytime you have a surgery and have to go under the knife, it's a pretty traumatic thing. So I'm hoping that, let's see, Susie said, oh, Susie's here. Hello. And yes, prayers for your fast recovery. Absolutely. And Diane, you started out in oil painting. Cool. We've got Liza's an oil painter here. I don't know anything about, I don't know boo about oil painting. That's one thing I never did. I don't know if I want to say my claim to fame, but one of my big hallmarks is that I don't paint anything but watercolors. So while I do feel as though I can answer lots of watercolor questions about everything, I can't answer anything about any other style of painting whatsoever. All right, I'm just putting on a base layer of this. Liza, Michael, I am rocking the oils this month. Good for you. Good for you. Let's see. This is an interesting green. This is Cobalt Green that I'm using here. Let me tell you a little bit about the Cobalt Green. from M. Graham. Cobalt Green, obviously you can see the color that it is. It's mostly transparent. I certainly wouldn't say it's fully transparent. It's mostly transparent. And it is slightly granular. And if I were to be using, this is the Bao Hong student grade watercolor paper. And before Liza can ask me why I'm using the student grade, because she knows I bought the student grade and professional grade at the same time. Before Liza can ask me why I'm using student grade instead of artist grade paper, it's the same reason as before. I had it cut, or I had cut several pieces, and this is just one that I have left over I haven't used yet. So I'm doing that. Let's see. Liza says, Susie, I'm great. People just keep calling me after 9 p.m. Well, they got to call you sometime. They got to keep in touch with you. And Uncle 60 says, you're going to paint your insides one day. And Diane, you've never had lessons, but you love watercolor. Okay, cool. So this will be good for you. And you've been doing it for 3 years. Liza, you completely accept my judgment. So this will be good. I love to talk watercolors. Obviously, everybody here knows that. I think everybody in the group here loves to talk watercolors. So I'm glad you're here, Diane, because that gives me an opportunity to say a few things here that I wouldn't normally do, because I've said it before, and sometimes we don't have a new person here. I'm doing a wet on dry technique here. I don't know why I'm doing 2 shoes separately, or 2 boots, whatever he's got, moccasins. I don't know what kind of footwear gnomes wear. Well, whatever these are, could just as easily do these together, and it wouldn't make any difference. I do have to work a little quickly with this, because I know that with this watercolor paper, that if I leave it sit for a minute or so, maybe not even that long, a few seconds for some of the colors, I'll get a bit of a tide line. And if there's one thing that I absolutely abhor in my paintings, it's tide lines. And so as I'm just putting on this initial color, I'm going to try to work a little bit more quickly. I probably will, in the course of this painting, do some areas a little bit more wet in wet. I'll pre-wet them with just some water so I can do a nice glaze over top of it, and then come back with some richer colors on top of it. There we can see that guy. And already you can see he's starting to take a little bit of shape. Uncle 60, you're doing a watercolor. You like to do a watercolor study before I do an oil paint. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Uncle 60, do you do that because you can do it quickly and you can judge some values? And you feel like you can understand the shape and the form a little bit more easily with watercolor than you can if you just start with oil? That's curious. Sorry, years. Sorry, years. Oh, sorry, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Liza. Gnomes wear boots. Okay. Susie says gnomes wear boots. Gnomes wear boots. So this is a booted gnome. I have to admit, I'm not always a big gnome fan. Maybe Gnome Alaska. But holy cow, every store I've gone into, even though I would think they would normally have them in the spring, maybe there was an overabundance in the gnome population this year, and they've grown out of control, but there's a lot of gnomes still out there, and I've seen a number of them in people's yards that I haven't noticed in the past. It seems we're being overrun with gnomes. It's a gnome-pocalypse. Ooh, my tongue does not want to work today. All right, so I got some basic colors on here. Everything basically that I'm going to be using except for his face. Oh, I guess there's more that I didn't do than I thought. His face, or his skin, his face, his ears, his hands, and his pants down here. I guess didn't do that. Let's see. Diane, you're still learning watercolors. Stick around on Wednesdays. We'll help you learn. We'll all pitch in. I love watercolors. I really love teaching, and I love to help people. I want to help people fall in love with watercolors because it's something that I enjoy doing. I want others to enjoy doing. Sometimes watercolors can be difficult for us. They're a little temperamental, and so if I can help with some of that, I love to do that. So please, Diane, ask questions. Susie Moon, yes, gnomes are everywhere and for every holiday too. Yeah. Oh, Sudika is here. Hello, Sudika, welcome. Let's see, Liza. What I have learned is that now paint oils very fast. Oh. I did 2 paintings last week alone before I started watercolors. I was much slower. It was interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so I've got some basic colors here. His hat, his cap is pretty dry. We can go back in and add more color onto this and start making this look a little bit better, a little bit fuller, more dimensional. Kind of as what I like to say. I say that a lot, I feel like. We are going to add color to his face or his skin, right? But his beard, I want his beard to be white, or mostly white. I think what I'm going to do is use basically, I haven't fully decided, maybe a little bit of blue, but mostly neutral tint on there. Oh, Uncle 60, wow, cheesecake money. Thank you so much. You know what? I'm gonna take my family out for some cheesecake. We have they have cheesecake in it, but we have a restaurant in town that has a pie carousel, which has cheesecake on it. So maybe we'll go out and get some cheesecake off of the pie carousel. Cheesecake's really cheese pie, right? Anyways. Regardless, Uncle 60, thank you. You're always very, very generous. Thank you so much. Okay, so I seem to have done what I always do is I started over here, which is fine, and painted this way, and now I want to go back over here, and I've left myself something wet over here that I can't paint over top of. I got to turn my page. Liza, you seem to think you've learned a lot from me. I probably have learned as much from you and the rest of you also as you have from me. But thank you. That's very nice of you to say. All right, I'm going to start adding a little depth onto here. And I'm going to get my color, put it on here, and just blend that side right out. Right, you guys have seen me do this. This is one of my favorite things to do is to blend colors out. Put it in, blend it out. Put it in, blend it out. I love that process. And this comes all the way up. There's a little darkness under here. And if this isn't exactly how this is going to go, that's fine. That's fine. We're gonna make it work for us. Yes, and the chat has been helpful too. The chat is great. You guys are wonderful. to listen to and to read from, and I appreciate you guys because, you know, it's like at work. I get so into a groove of doing things one certain way, and then I talk to somebody else and they go, why are you doing it that way? Why don't you do things this other way? And I look at it and I go, holy cow, why am I not doing things that other way? That way makes things much easier. So there's lots of ideas that I've never heard of, I never thought of, I never tried because I never had to. And you guys really are helpful in bringing some of those forward. So I know you all watch other watercolor artists, but and I'm totally fine with that, but I'm like, I love you know, my little group of you all, my little group of regulars that join me on Wednesday. We all have a lot of fun. We all talk about one of my favorite topics, which is watercolors, and we make the evening a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Not just for me, I think probably for everybody. All right, so we're getting somewhere with this hat. Come on, a little bit more color. I should say I'm just using a wee bit of Pyrrol Red here. I'm not even trying to do too much with this. This is just Pyrrol Red. Upon Pyrrol Red, we'll move into some other colors, maybe to darken up or really get some shadow in some places. We'll do this. Let's see. You think 300-pound paper is worth the money? So, great question. My answer is, it depends upon how you use your paper. So, for me, I don't think that 300-pound paper would benefit me all that much. I have some right over here. I posted it in my Discord. My wife found 8 sheets of 20 by 30 watercolor paper at a garage sale or an estate sale, something, over the weekend. And she was smart enough to snatch it up and bring it home. So I have some, and I'm going to be using it in the coming, days, weeks, and months. So we'll get to see how it's different than paper like this that's 180 pound. But in general, Uncle 60, I think it's more about how you use the paper, right? If I were to get a giant brush like this, or I must have a really big brush. No, I don't. I've got this. I've got some that are way larger than this. But if I were to use one of these and flood the whole paper with water and do some real wet areas, then yeah, I think probably the 300-pound paper would be worth it. But I typically don't use that much water. I'll use a bit of water here, and I'll use a bit of water here, and I'll use a bit of water here. And for my personal style, I don't think the 300-pound paper is going to add all that much to me or for me. So I hope that answered your question. All right, I'm going to go in and do some of his jacket here. Great definition on the hat. It'll get there. I mean, it's a start. I don't want to say it's not, but it'll get there. It's going to get even better. And I should also say, right, we're talking about how much we like, or I'm talking about, I guess, how much I like this group on Wednesdays. I actually looked back over the weekend at all of the paintings that I've done on these Wednesdays, and I have to say, right, I will say that it looks as though I've taken a couple of suggestions from you all, and even though I will do a painting on my own and do it my own way, like on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever, I think all of my paintings that have been done on Wednesdays in general have gotten much better, right? I'll tell you what it is. It's forced me to, excuse me, it's forced me to do more than just those things that I think of as being in my comfort zone. And because of that, I've probably grown a little bit. Tracy's here. Hello. And so, as a result, I definitely think I've become a better painter. And now I'm going to pick on Tracy a minute because she just came here. And Tracy, I'm sorry, but I happen to watch Tracy. For anybody who doesn't know, Tracy, this is the Gnome. You're so excited. Tracy streams on YouTube also, and Tracy is doing a number of streams for World Watercolor Month, and I just happened to see one of your streams on your, so I'm not exactly sure if it was a new tin of watercolors, but you pulled out a whole bunch of tins, and you had some Paul Rubens watercolors, and I don't even remember what else you had, but you had a whole number of, and I kept going, no, okay, I kind of want to, I kind of really want to try that. Oh, I want to try that one. So I thought that was great. I didn't get to watch him here. Unfortunately, I had to watch during my lunch hour at work, so I didn't get to spend quite as much time with it as I wanted, but the colors, the paints look fantastic. I love the swatching that you did on the tab, or on the color card. Some days I can actually speak. Today just doesn't seem to be one of those days. Yeah, it was Paul Rubens. Okay, it was Paul Rubens. So Paul Rubens are one of those brands that I never really quite tried out. Let's see, Michael, you have more paint than anyone on the... All right, okay, hold on just a second. I probably don't have the most. I might be in like third place. I have a lot of paint. But I really like my paint. I should say this. I have a little brush holder over here that I bought at the dollar store. I'm trying to be frugal about my art expenses. I bought it at the dollar store and I paid $1 for it. I was like, oh man, all right, it's worth $1. I'll pay $1 for it. Well, I was with my son walking through Family Dollar looking for God knows what we were looking for. I don't know. We like to just walk through and have fun and see what's new and interesting in stores. But they had the same brush holder for 25 cents. I'm like, I gotta get another one. Yeah, the frugal crafter wins. Yes, I definitely do not have more paints than the frugal crafter. She's always going to win. Gosh, she's got hundreds of thousands of paints. I watched a video, part of a video, of a guy doing some painting. He's a, you know, perfectly respectable British artist working. I'm sure he's been painting for 100 years, whatever, right? And he looked at his palette and he went, I think I need a new blue. He goes, I should open the blue drawer. And he opened this drawer. It slid out, and the drawer was about 4 feet long, and it had to have been 500 or 600 different tubes of blue paint. And I was like, oh my gosh. Wow. Let's see. If the frugal crafter has a lot of paint, she's not really frugal. Well, in her defense, I don't think Lindsay pays for a lot of her art supplies. I think a lot of them are donated to her, and not trying to hype her channel, but she's pretty good. She's pretty good. Lindsay's going broke to help us save. Art supplies can be a drug. Art supplies can be a drug. They're absolutely a drug. Absolutely. Okay, I got some color. Let's see. She makes me want to buy everything Tracy says. Yeah, she does. And when she does a demo, she just goes, oh, just do this and blah, 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 blah. 3 strokes. Everything's weird for a second. 4 more strokes and everything looks great. And you're like, how did she do that? I don't understand. I don't know. Oh, she's fantastic. All right, enough about her. Let's get back to a hat here, right? So we know that we have bottom shadows and we have to have top shadows. So I'm going to put a little bit of a top shadow on here. I don't know that top shadow is exactly the right name for this, but it will give this, let's see, that's wet. It will give this much more dimension if we put some color up here. And I'm going to blend that down a little bit. And you know what I'm going to do? I don't like that this is quite so... Oh, yeah, look at that. Now it looks like it kind of goes around. We're going to do the same thing up here, too. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to give some dimension here. I'm going to make that tip pop right out. There we go. This is all easy stuff here. Anybody could do this. Look, if I can do this, anybody can do this. Okay, there we go. Now it looks like that little bit pops out. We'll do some undershadowing on that too. And I'm going to actually put a little bit of yellow in here. Maybe Gamboge should be a little bit better. That's dirty. I painted... That's a little better. I painted artichokes over the weekend. And I told myself I'm not going to get green in my yellow paint as I'm mixing different paint. I'm not going to get green in my yellows. And the first thing I did was I got greens in my yellows, and so I'm suffering for it today, having a little green in my yellow. I just wanted to get a little bit of color on here. I'm not always a fan of having a white. I want my whites to have a little different color. Just me. Just me, not anybody else. I'm going to jump around a little bit here. And I come over here. Give him a little color on his hammer. Does anybody know any gnome trivia? Is it true that they all came from Alaska? Do we know? Can we verify that? I'm asking. I don't know. Are there any, how about this? Are there any other states that have a city called Gnome in them? Does anybody know that? I don't know. Certainly somebody will know that. Oh, everybody's gone quiet. This is when it makes me nervous. Everybody's gone quiet. I'm here yammering away. I'm just jibber jabbering away, looking down at my page, talking while I paint, and I look up and there's nothing up there. Tracy, Gnomes facts from that Gnome book. Oh, that's right. That's right. Tracy has a Gnome. Tracy did, anybody who wants to see more Gnome stuff, Tracy did a flip through of a Gnome book that she has on her channel. So go there. And I don't, Tracy, I don't, so I feel a little bad. I don't remember. I know I've said before you can go ahead and post your channel on here if you would like. I don't remember if you were able to do that before. If I have that blocked and I have to go and do that. I don't recall. But at some point I'll probably get to a spot here where I can take a bit of a break, and I'll do that if you would like. Because I'm a subscriber and I know where her channel is. How about that? There you go. Shoot, you know what? Let's just, I'm going to take this color all the way back around here. Let me make this whole thing a little bit darker back here. Let's make that toe, if I make this dark behind this toe, it'll make that toe stand out. So I'm going to make it a little bit darker. I might even put a little bit of blue in there just to enhance that effect a little bit. There we go. Let's see, Tracy says gnomes are definitely good sometimes. So, let's see. Britannia says gnomes are earth spirits who guard hidden earth treasures. So, Britannia says they're not the ones that are good bakers. Those are elves. Gnomes are guardians, elves are chefs. Got it. Britannica. There you go. Wait, I know what you were talking about. Tracy, you would love that. Okay, cool. I will get to a good stopping point here, and I'll find your channel. I'll post that for everybody, and if they would like to go and visit your channel, then they can do that. I'm pretty sure I have the power to post links in here. Elves are different, okay? Elves are different. So, which are bigger, elves or gnomes? I don't know. That's... Elves or gnomes? I think they're probably both pretty small. Let's see. Sidike, let's see. Gnomes should be in Congress. Oh, because they're guarding treasures? Actually, today's day and age, I'm not sure who should be in Congress. I don't know that anybody knows what to do in Congress. We don't seem to be able to elect people who I think do a great job for us either way, but that's okay. We'll figure it all out. Let's see. Tracy says work has been keeping you very busy. Liza, your brother died, and your sister-in-law gave me one of his gnomes to put in your garden. Okay, it means a lot to me. He taught you how to garden. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay. I think I'm done messing around with this for a moment. What I want to do is get some color onto his skin here. And I'm going to make that color by putting in some Quiacridone Rose. Is that what that is? Yep, Quiacridone Rose. With some, oh, is this how I do this? With some Gamboge. And that'll give me some semblance of a skin color. Only artists should run the country. Shanika says, you don't think elves carry mallets. What about when they play croquet? I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Let's see, Michael, because you love birds, I want you to know I had a baby robin in the last one, followed me, and not her mama when she jumped from the nest. Oh, that's so cute. I have a story for you. I have a bird story for you. That's pretty cute. That's pretty adorable. I'm going to thin this down a little bit. Let's see. This is probably going to look a little funny, and that's okay. But it'll turn out, and if we have to adjust the color ever so slightly, everything will work out. I'll tell you this story about flesh tones. I bought a set of, or maybe I was given a set. This was a long time ago. Like 20 years ago or some such, a long time ago, was given a set of Reeves paint. And if you all know Reeves paint is fine, but it's very student grade paint. Look, I forgot the paint is green over there. It's very student grade paint, right? It's wonderful if you're in elementary school, if you're, trying to figure out how to be an artist and paint and paper and brushes and wetness and all these different techniques. Maybe it's not the best paint to be using because that's going to cause some other issues. That's fine, right? That's fine. I'm not worried about the paint in the least. Well, they had, in the pack that I had, a jar or a tin, what do you call it? A tube called Flesh. And this was, like I said, this was 15 or more years ago. I was like, cool, I'm going to try to paint people. I don't have to worry about skin tones. I'll just use that. Oh my Lord. I used it and it was like iridescent weirdo skin. I was like, I don't know who has any skin anywhere close to that color. It was just so oddball, out of left field, that I got done with my first painting. I started laughing at the color of it. It was so hysterical. Gnomes are really small. Okay. Gnomes are small. Small. Tracy, you're back. That's okay. Tracy comes to watch our stream while she's working. And presumably on break. Presumably it's okay for her to be watching. I hope. I don't want you to get in trouble at all. That would not be cool. Let's see. What's going on over here? He's got... Yeah, that's about right. He's got a... Oh, that's a little redder than... Well, whatever. It's fine. It's all fine. But, okay, so... Here's my... Did I say, Liza, did I say I was going to tell a bird story? I thought I said I was going to tell a story. Presumably. Oh, Tracy, you have a lot of vintage prang paints. Oh, okay, I do love prang. I have a number of vintage prang paints. I think the vintage prang paints are really cool. I don't think they're awesome paints, but I love the tins. I love the look. I think they're fantastic. So, here's my bird story. You all know that I like... Did I tell you what colors I'm using here? This is a yellow and a red mixed together. It's not much. You could mix any yellow just about and any red just about and make something that is a similar color to this. There's no magic in that. And if it's not right, if you want it a little lighter, you mix it a little lighter. You could mix in a little yellow ochre if you wanted. You could mix in a little burnt umber if you want. I've found that starting with those colors works pretty well for everybody. Every skin tone as a base layer. And then you change it from there to suit. Anyway, here's my... I was going to ask. Now I don't even know. So I've jumped around so much. You were going to ask what colors I was using. The colors I'm using here are Quiacridone Rose. I like the coldness of the Quiacridone. And then I mix it with a red. I'm sorry. I don't mix Quiacridone Rose with a red. I mix Quiacridone Rose with a yellow. Sometimes I use my cold yellow, and you'll see it'll turn into more of a pinky color. Like this over here. Like this over here on his ear. And if I use a warmer yellow, it turns into something a little darker, like this over here on his ear. But it doesn't matter. It's all going to come together somehow, and we're going to end up with something that looks nice in the end. All right, now we're starting to define him a little bit about how you did the skin tone. So that's how I did the skin tone. Yeah, it's just I like to like I said, I like to start with that cold red and then mix in a yellow, and depending upon what I need, it'll be a different yellow. But my bird story. So you all know that I love my chickens, right? I love my chickens. They're so funny. They're all part of the family. They're never going to be eaten. They're going to be here as long as they're alive, right? Well, one of the little girls, one of the new girls, Blueberry, has started laying eggs, which is awesome. But she hasn't figured out that she should lay them in the hen house, which kind of isn't quite so awesome, but it is kind of funny. So I walked out of the house on Saturday and looked down and saw I saw Blueberry in the trash can. And I'm like, what are you doing in the trash can? This is the silliest thing that you have ever done. I picked her up and I moved her out of the trash can. So it's just a round trash can. It's, you know, the mouth of it is a foot and a half. I'm doing it here. You can't see. You know, it's a foot and a half, 2 feet in diameter, something like that, and about 3 feet tall. Right? It's a trash can. Well, today, my wife texted me. She goes, I had to run out and help Blue. I'm like, oh no, what was going on with Blue? She was like, well, she got in the trash can again. And I'm like, okay. What's she getting in the trash can for? I guess, this is so funny, she got in there to lay an egg in the trash can. My wife took a video of it. Blue, she was yapping her fool head off. My wife went over, adjusted the trash can for her. Blue hopped up on the edge, bloop, right in the trash can. Sat there for 10 minutes, laid an egg, bloop, hopped right back out. I'm like, you're the weirdest chicken. Oh my God. They're so funny. They're so funny. All right. Let's see. I want this to be, I'm going to mix a little dark in here. I want this to be a little darker. This is like where he's going to cinch his coat a little bit, right? He's got this little line going through here where he could maybe tie it in the front a little bit, if that makes any sense. Maybe a little, I don't know. That's how the image is. I'm going to try to stick to that. If it doesn't have that, we don't have a whole lot of definition there. So I want to put that in here somehow. So that's what this is. It would do a little bit here. Anyway, that's my bird story. My chickens are taking over everything. They're so great. They're so funny. They're so funny. Let's see, I can do this a little bit over here too, right? Right, I can do that. Oh, I know. Next week, we can do this too. Next week is the challenge. I hope next week is... You're going to see me paint my interpretation of the challenge. I have collected a number of pictures. Watch this. I'm going to do a little bit more work on here. I'm going to let you see these pictures. I think if I go here, right? So Let me come back here. I guess I don't have any sound set up. Or did I? Maybe I do. If I have sound, if I can see the sound is set up when I change over to photos, I'll talk about them. If not, it'll be like a minute and then I'll be right back and you can take a look at the ones I'm going to choose from to do mine. And, oh, I do have sound. Okay, cool. So we've got this giant rock that sits out on this place called White's Point. Whoop, not this one. This one goes down to the beach at Bayshore Bluffs Park. This is a staircase that kind of just goes into the water. It's always been a mystery to me. Never quite figured that one out. This is down by one of my favorite parks. My kids used to play there, called Tidelands Park. You'll see another picture of this. These are out of order. This is Centennial Staircase. If you want to get from the upper level of my town to the lower level, you go through there. Now here we're back to this big rock down by our Natural History Museum. And this is carved, and you can walk up. Here's another bit of the path all the way up to the top of the rock. You can go up about 120 feet on this stone staircase. There's another one. And we've got these big cypress trees that grow out over the edge. And it's kind of neat. That's one I really like. And so we've got these natural rock stairs that kind of go up. This is just below my house. This goes down from a little park called Bayshore Bluffs Park down to the water. The previous picture, the interesting thing about it is the beach there is all abalone shell. Years ago, there used to be an abalone farm here in my town, and it was on the location of that park. And so the abalone shells are 4 to 6 feet deep there. Okay. Ooh, but let's come back. So I haven't forgotten about doing next week's challenge. I'm going to choose from one of those to do my staircase. I likely will pick it from that natural history trail. I think that's a pretty cool area and a pretty cool thing. And it's got all those nice stones, and stones are fun to paint because you can paint them all different colors. And if you don't get the shapes right, it's fine because they're stones. Oh, Natalie's going to bed. Natalie is on the East Coast and is going to bed. It's getting later there. So Natalie, thank you for joining for the time you could. I hope you enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thank you so much for joining in. Very much appreciated. And we'll see you. You're back next week? Back home? Well, we'll see you next week. I hope to see you next week one way or another. So, anyways, thank you for stopping by. All right, so I'm going to try to give a little bit of detail. I don't do a whole lot of faces, right? And you're going to find out why I don't do faces here pretty quickly, because I'm pretty horrible at faces. But I think if I attempt to follow the contour, back in Arizona on Monday, cool. All right, awesome. Natalie, seriously, have a great evening. Have a great rest of your vacation. And travel safe, please. I think if I follow the contours of his face, that I'll be okay. I'll be able to do something that's passing. And before I forget about this, Tracy, you need to tell me, let's see if I can find the link to Tracy's channel. Where is it? Right here. Copy and paste here. Somehow, is that going to go? Oh, that's it. So if you want to visit Tracy's channel, Tracy, it took you a long time to want to do faces. I haven't wanted to do faces yet. No, I'm happy to do faces. I just don't feel as though I do them the justice they deserve. Got a little bit of something going on this one. Let me see if I can do the same thing on this side of his nose. I'm just never sure how dark to make something, how light to make something, what exactly I'm doing. I haven't quite figured it out, but I haven't, quite honestly, I like painting birds a lot more, and so I just haven't spent the time in there. Oh, Liza, thank you. Remind everybody, please hit a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And Tracy, you're certainly welcome. And anybody else, I'm certainly willing to plug anybody else's channel. I just happen to know that Tracy is on here and posting content quite regularly. I'm happy for anybody else to put a little plug in for their channel too. I don't want to say that anybody can't. We're all in this together, so let's help each other out, right? We only have one life. Let's all enjoy it and make our own, everybody else's, as fun and enjoyable as possible, and we'll go from there. Let's see. I don't think this is too bad with this guy. I got some decent definition on his face here. Well, give me a little bit more red in here. I really admire people who have their own channels. It sometimes takes a bit of dedication, I will admit. And it takes a bit of stick-to-itiveness, if that's actually a word. I think the actual, Tracy, you can say how you feel about it if you want. The actual channel isn't hard. It's the ability to stick with it for a long period of time, right? And the ability, you have to, right? You might have to learn how to set up your streaming. You might have to learn how to edit some videos. You know, there's definitely some learning that has to take place in there. But if you're willing to stick with it, I don't know that everybody's going to have a million subscribers. Like, I don't know, like Lindsay, right? The frugal crafter. Not everybody's ever going to be what she is, but we can all carve out and have a nice channel of our own, and that's okay. It's not a competition. It's really not. It's probably not. Tracy, you don't post half as much as you would like to. I don't post half as much as I would like to, because I paint quite a bit. I just don't like to edit videos. And so if I liked to edit videos, I would probably do a lot more videos. But again, that's okay, right? It's fine. All right, let's see if we can. I do everything from your phone. Holy cow! All right, I'm more impressed with that than anything. I don't know that I could do all of this from my phone. I haven't tried, but I don't think that would be, I think that would be tough. All right, I've just put in his mustache. He's got this big mustache there. Just love sharing your creativity. There you go. That's what it's about, right? You get to share something that you enjoy, and you want others to enjoy it also, and so you spread the love a little bit, and hopefully, right, if you spread the love, hopefully other people enjoy it and can join in with you, and that really is what makes it, in my opinion, so worthwhile to do. And that's why I love these Wednesdays, is because it seems like everybody who shows up here either enjoys painting or enjoys talking about it, or we find it, just even if we just find it as some big kind of social thing to do that we all like to get together on a Wednesday evening, that's cool too, because Hey, that's fun too, right? There we go. I'm setting aside a little bit of that ear. Eventually you want to work on a better setup. Yeah, I get it. I think a phone would be hard. But you'll get there. I should have done that. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I just go here? Let me do this. I'm probably just going to ruin everything I just did. There we go. The boots look very soft and comfy. You know what? We need to do a little bit more on his boots. I don't think you guys can quite see enough. Can you see enough here? My manual zoom. I'm going to drop in a little bit of his ears here. He's starting to get some definition to him, right? I think so. We're starting to see more to him. He's starting to develop some character. If he's like me, he's starting to develop some character flaws. No, that was a joke. How many people are we have in here right now? 18 people? That's a good amount. I should say, everybody who's here, everybody who's new or whatnot, if you just want to say hi, that's awesome. Most of us don't bite. If you have questions about paints or painting or paper or any kind of that kind of thing, I'd love to help explain some to you. It's one of the things I really like to do. You know what? This ear over here looks like he's got a little sunburn. Tracy says he's looking great. Thank you. He's looking a little sunburn on his ears up here. Okay. But he's looking a little sunburn. But he is starting. All right, I'm not going to say he's there. But he's starting to get some definition here and there. Jenny, it looks like this little guy is shooting the bird. No, it's his, no, it's his first finger. It's not. He's only got 3. And he's got 2 over here. I promise you, that's not what it is. I will admit, though, when I saw the reference photo, I did think that myself. He's giving you the bird. No, he's not. Nope, not really. It's an illusion. Oh, and Liza says we need a thumbs up. Thank you for mentioning that, Liza. No bird action here. YouTube's gonna come down on me now. No. Actually, they probably don't care about that a whole lot. I don't know. Actually, I know a lot of people have gotten upset with YouTube because they've kind of regulated so many things, but thank heavens, Jesus, thank heavens. But they've mostly left my channel alone. But we don't look. Well, I'm pretty innocuous, and I don't have a giant audience. I do have a regular audience, which I love. But Tracy, that's what you were trying to figure out. Okay, you know what? I think what we need then is we need to do some work on his fingers over here. Let's do that. Let's. Too much red in there. Let's not get that much red. And let's drop in a little bit of this brown here. We can start to define some of his fingers here, and we can see clearly, we'll be able to see while his fingers are a little pudgy. There's only 3. There's only 3, and he's not shooting anybody the bird. I was completely taken aback at this. I drove to work. God, this was last week. Was it last Tuesday? Last Wednesday? I think it was last Tuesday. I was driving into work. I take the same route I've taken for 18 years. It hasn't varied for 18 years, right? Same route, same everything. I see a lot of the same cars. I know if some of the other people on my route, I live in a very rural area, so when I say I see the same cars and the same people, I'm literally talking, I see 5 people in the morning driving to work, and plus I go to work very early. I'm usually to work by like 6:30 or so, very early in the morning. Anyways, was driving to work, like I said, I think it was last Tuesday, and I saw a guy on the side of the road, and he was hitchhiking, which is fine, whatever, right? I don't have any problem with that. I didn't stop to pick him up, which I didn't think was any big deal. I never stopped to pick up a hitchhiker. Anyways, the guy threw me a double bird as I drove past, and I'm like, well, you're kind of never going to get anybody to pick you up if that's what you're doing. Like, you don't have it right. You're doing something a little bit wrong there. He threw me a double bird as I drove past. I was like, all right, we're just about got his finger fixed here. Single finger. One finger. There. Can we tell it's one finger now? Throwing a double in there. Let's add some darkness up underneath that ear. Let's do the same thing over here too, right? Shoot. Let's give some shading underneath that ear. I like that. I'm trying to break out of the mode of using only warms where warms are, only colds where colds are. That looks a bit more like a single finger, a bit. Maybe we could do just a little bit more to help with that. All right, I think we're getting there. And that's his thumb now. Okay, so now one finger, he's going number 1. Oh my God, that's so funny. I once gave a homeless guy on the street in Chicago some money. He cursed me out for not giving him more. Oh man. When he told him he could give the money back, he just kind of shut up. How about that? That's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. If the dude was really homeless, it's tough, and he's probably not got a lot of people willing to give him a whole lot of money. And I don't know. I'm not going to make excuses for the guy. That's pretty unexcusable, but I don't know. All right, let's do this. This is deep color under here. This goes way underneath. So why does that look green? It goes way underneath. I guess, Siddiqui, that just proves the adage, right? No good deed goes unpunished. I guess that's what that's all about. I felt bad. This had nothing to do with money. There was a woman living in her truck in front of our house here. And I used to go out, as my kids were a little bit younger, I used to go out on walks with my kids. And she obviously was sensitive about the fact that she's living in her pickup truck. She wasn't bothering me at all. She would, I mean, the way she was doing it, I think she was doing it the best of all. She'd show up at 7 o'clock at night or some such thing as that, right? Park her truck out there, and she'd just get in the back, and we never heard from her again and nothing like that. Anyway, we walked past one time, and she took note that we noticed that she was there, and then she never came back. And I was like, well, you didn't need to run out of here. She's not bothering anybody. I don't know about that hand. Accentuate the pinky finger, and it will be nailed. Over here, this little pinky, or this pinky. That's not really a pinky, is it? That's all three. 1, 2, and 3 there. It's got to be that pinky. This pinky needs a little work, for sure. All right, but I can't get back to this pinky because now I made this wet, so I'm going to come down and do a little bit more on his shoes down here. His nice, comfy-looking shoes. I'm going to grab some of the sepia and put it right down here on the right on the very bottom. Let's let that be a bit darker, even if it's not darker leather or anything. Maybe, it's been worn a little bit more, and it just needs to be a little bit darker is all. Ooh. His little, I see, I almost said elf shoes. His little gnome shoes. And so you guys are saying that not all gnomes come from Alaska. Okay, all right. We'll take that into consideration. All right, we got some color going on here. The leather in here definitely looks like it's worn. I do have to blend this out a little bit. Oh, yes, yes, and yes. I like the way this is starting to look. I like his little boots here. I like animals better than people too. Soft and comfy shoes. Snukas is just another example of why I prefer horses and dogs to people. I thought you just preferred horses and dogs because you don't have chickens. Because if you had chickens, I have to say you'd prefer chickens too. No chickens. Actually, I don't know if you have chickens or not. I'm just on a big chicken kick because mine are so funny. All right, we got a little wiggle in his shoes here. I like painting because it takes me into my own head and I leave the world behind. I like that too. You get to define your own world when you start painting. And I probably, watched a little too much Bob Ross growing up, but if you can define what you're doing and tell a story about what you're painting, you're probably going to do a better job painting it. Right? That's what Bob always used to say, is make sure you can tell a story about whatever it is you're painting. You'll form an attachment to it, and it'll help you paint better. Bob was a pretty smart guy. That's it. That is it. That's it. I don't know. So you said that, and immediately I thought of the movie City Slickers. Anybody see the movie City Slickers? Does anybody remember the movie City Slickers? Oh, with Jack Palance and I almost said Dana Carvey, but that was Billy Crystal. Jack Palance and Billy Crystal. It was a long time ago. I just remember there being a bunch of scenes about trying to find that one thing in life. And when you said, that's it, that kind of reminded me of that. You're searching for one thing. What is it? I kept going, what is it? Because that's for you to figure out. But when you figure it out, you'll know what the secret to life is. The secret to painting is make up your own stories. Enjoy it. Develop a backstory for all your characters. Bring them to life. Bring them to life inside your... Billy Crystal, that's right. Inside your painting. That story really helps bring everything to life. You start to care about it and probably do a better job. I think there's a lot to that. Oh, look at that. I like those shoes now. Look at it. I like these. I think they look good. I didn't mean to dive into life lessons there. It's just, I don't know why. It made me think of that all of a sudden. Okay, there we go. We got some nice boots on him now. Let's see, Dana Liza. I totally agree with you. Yes, absolutely. Okay, I gotta do this. I want to do this. I haven't touched his pants yet, right? Obviously, I haven't touched his pants yet. He does have this little bit of a shirt that's hanging out right here. I'm gonna paint that in. I just realized I'm painting all these colors that I have a hard time painting with. Right, I've got to put a shadow on this yellow now because it's out underneath this jacket, and I hate putting shadows on yellow because it's hard. All right, cool. So I gotta do some more on his hat up here. His hat's okay. It's a little wonky. We're gonna, but I like the warmer colors in here now. We're gonna start to really add some depth and dimension here. So how many of you do this? You want his boots for your aching feet. How many of you do this? I've really jumped around during this painting, right? I've jumped here and there and back here and over there and all around. I'm curious, how many of you jump around that much while you're painting? And I ask, for a bit of a strange reason, but not too strange. I always used to hate jumping around when I'm painting. I used to say, I want to paint one area, and I want to paint that area as best I can, and then I want to move on to the next area. And it didn't really make me angry or upset or anything, but I was always like, why is it that I need to jump around so much? And I would always try to paint a specific area and get that done and then move on to the next one. Does anybody try to paint like that, or was that just me? Now, I don't know that it's an error of my way, but I can see the benefit of moving on and painting some different areas and jumping around a little bit so that you can get some areas that are going to dry a bit and some areas that are going to, leave a little wet and just have some more interest to. You jump around. Tracy, you jump around. Okay. Cool. The more I do it, the more I'm thinking that's probably the way I should have been doing things from the beginning. And I also, while I realize I'm kind of, teaching here on YouTube. I don't know that this is really teaching. This is just enjoying. But when I was more in the mode of learning how to paint rather than doing painting, it's a strange thing to say, but there was a time where I thought I wasn't able to paint because I couldn't paint like everybody on YouTube. And so I was trying to only paint, I'd watch somebody and trying to imitate them, and I'd watch somebody else and I'd try to imitate them. And not that there's anything wrong with that necessarily. I think if you were to ask me now, I would say there's a slightly better way to learn painting, but now I forget where I was going with this. At the time, I was watching. I was watching people paint. Oh, where was I going with this? Oh, Michael. Okay, Tracy, you do it to let different areas dry. If you're doing wet on dry, totally can see that. I can totally see that. You need to let the area dry. Boy, I really can't remember what I was going to say now. That makes me upset. I'm using, I want to stay in the red family here. And so I'm using Maroon Perylene. And Maroon Perylene, much like Alizarin Crimson, is a pretty powerful color. It's strong. So I don't want it to overpower what I'm doing. So I'm mixing that with a little bit of the, what's my color here? Pyrrol Red, to keep the color somewhat the same, but that deep dark red should add a little bit of shadowy colors, a bit of purplish in there, maroonish color. I should paint all the light values, then the middle values, then the darks. Okay, cool. That's probably the best method. I try to paint like that. although you've all seen me, I don't always paint like that. I paint what's here and what's there, and kind of what I think needs to be done right now and what I think needs to be done later I put off. And actually, I think that's actually that's not the best way to do it. Certainly, there's a million different ways to paint everything, but I think it's a fun way to do it. It kind of breaks with watercolor tradition, but you get enough of a jump here and there to have some fun, and I think it helps keep things a bit lively. I'm painting underneath the brim of his cap here. It's kind of folded over a little bit. And I think the further it comes over here, the softer of an edge I'm going to give it. I'm going to try that. Liza says, Susie, I like your method. What's Jeannie say? I use a heat tool so I don't have to worry too much about colors bleeding where I don't want the effect. I sometimes do. Jeannie, and Liza can attest to this fact, and probably so can Dana and Siddiqui, and maybe Tracy too. I redid all my own electricity out here in the studio, which means it doesn't always work the way I want it to. So earlier this year, I pulled out the old hair dryer and tried to dry off a couple of paintings mid-painting, and all my power blew out. Everybody was left without a stream for several minutes, and it was horrible. So I've learned my lesson. I'm going to stick with what I know or what I don't. but I'm going to stick with it anyways and just do smaller areas. Let's see. It's more interesting to watch when someone is jumping around. Okay, cool. Good. All right, how's that for a hat? There's some serious interest in that hat, right? There's a little bit of fun going on here. I think I'm going to put a little bit of something here that maybe folds back on itself just a little bit. Jeannie, I move my paper around a lot. I always have. I'm not a classically trained watercolor artist. So when I kind of learned on my own, I learned by moving my paper rather than I blew my fuse. I blew my fuse. Literally, not figuratively, I blew a fuse. So I do turn my page a lot. If it gets to be distracting or hard to follow or something, and you'd rather I not do it quite so much, please feel free to let me know. I don't know how much I can stop, but I'll try to limit it. I'm moving it quite a bit tonight. I don't know if I always do it quite that much. All right. Well, that's too dark. That I can tell you that right now. This is too dark here. Let's pull this down a little bit more. Come on, a little extra water to work it that little bit. All right, I think that's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. This is also the fun part of watercolors. You make I'm going to use it in quotes, a mistake, a little boo-boo. You throw a little extra color on and you go, hey, you know what? That actually looks kind of nice. Why didn't I do that before? Cool. There you go. Oh, I like his hat. Oh, I like his hat. Eliza says, Jeannie, I used to move my pad when Michael moved his paper. It was bad. I don't do it. I don't think I do it quite as much as I used to, but I do still move my paper quite a bit. I'm pretty unapologetic for that. I'm trying to create a piece of art, but I do realize that I'm also kind of trying to be entertaining, and sometimes those two don't always go hand in hand, or at least the way that we want them to. So just going to throw on a couple of lines here and there. Maybe he's got some something going on with his mallet. It's the weirdest game of croquet anybody's ever played. Give me a little, oh, I don't want that blue. Give me a little bit of this blue. Let's see if we can get this nice and gray in here. Like that. And then on the other side, a lighter brown, a little burnt umber, a little yellow ochre. There you can see the top of that thing now. The hat looks very soft too. The hat does actually look pretty soft, doesn't it? So what doesn't, oh, you know what we need to do? Okay, I need to give me some yellow back in here. He's got some stuff going on with his ears here. This can actually be like a purple right in here, I think. Give me a right in that ear right there. I move my paper because Michael taught me to. Oh, Liza. Oh, that's the worst reason to. But I'm going to say, right, it's not all that bad if you move your paper. You move your paper at home and you're doing a piece of art, you gain a little bit of extra understanding of that piece. When you're moving it in front of however many people, when you're painting live, sometimes it looks like you're just moving it. It doesn't always play the same. It just doesn't quite always play the same. Right, a little dark area for his ear, right under there. All right, all right. So we're getting there. I don't know how long we've been painting tonight. Feels like 20 minutes. Where are we at? Holy cow, an hour and a half. I'm surprised I can still speak. I haven't had anything to drink. Jeannie, your new puppy has those same ears. That's great. Sadiq A, I think the way you've done the shadows really makes this painting work. Up here, some of them down here. I would love to continue to darken some of these shadows. Down here. I gotta be careful on some of these because up here it's started to get a little thick and a little heavy already, and I don't want it necessarily to get thick and heavy. So what are we gonna do? So I'm not gonna do too much. I might go over. I think part of the issue was that I used a Cobalt Blue, but he's got some really dark areas in here. I think if I go over it and just darken it even a little bit more, we can force the dimension a little bit. Something like that. If I do it quickly, I probably won't lift up any colors underneath. That's pretty good. We've still got a little tie area under here. And way back here, this definitely needs to be a bit of a darker blue way back there. And right down his sleeve. Let's see, what do we say? Jeannie, what type of dog do you... Oh, yeah. What kind of dog do you have? Whoop. Too much water. Was not paying attention when I should have been. I can fix too much water by adding a little extra paint. And right on down. That should meld right into a normal green, which in this case is Cobalt Green. Jeannie, you've only had your dog for a month. She's been very ill with pneumonia. Well, let's hope she gets better. No. Let's hope she continues to get better. Let's say it that way. You said she's already started to get better. Let's hope she continues to get better. Pets are so great for us. They are wonderful. Dogs are God spelled backward. That's true. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's totally true. Mom is a beagle. Dad is a chihuahua. Well, that would be an interesting breed. Is there... I'm kind of afraid to ask. Is there a name for a dog that's half beagle, half chihuahua? You know, like a lab and a poodle's a labradoodle. Is there a... I don't know the answer. I'm just asking. Or did I miss it? He's looking really good. No. I don't see what I see. What I see. What I don't see. That's okay. Not that I know. Okay, cool. All right, that's all good. That's all good. Just was curious. All right. Okay. All right. So we got a jacket. This is maybe not exactly what I want here. I'm going to pull some of this color down. I think that is going to help out a little bit. Actually, I think that helps out quite a bit. And while I'm doing some blue, I'm going to put a little blue here on his cuff. Like this is the inside of his cuff over here. This is the part. Now, I've talked about this before. This is the part of the painting. And it's harder because I'm painting it live. This is the part of the painting where I start to feel like I need to speed up. Whether I do or whether I don't. This is the part where I feel like I need to speak up. KB is here. Hello. Hello. I struggle to know how wet your paint should be. A chingle or a bee that's good. So put the so KB, it's a great question. Many parts to that answer, of which I'm going to try to help you out with. And the answer is, I can give you the definitive answer to this, believe it or not. The definitive answer is it depends upon the area upon which you will be painting. If you're painting a larger area, you probably should start with a little wetter brush as a general rule. And if you're painting a smaller area, you should start with a little drier brush. But in reality, that's an answer for how I paint. I think in general it holds true, but there are quite a few people who prefer to paint much more wet into wet than I do. I paint a lot more wet into dry, and if I do wet into wet, it's in a much smaller area. And because of that, my painting style is a little different. But what I would say is, if you find whatever area it is you want to paint, keep a paper towel handy, put your color on. Look, I've got this little puddle right there. I know that if I put my brush back on there right now, I'm going to have more water on it than I need. So I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to tap it dry onto here, and then I can just go back and move that paint around however I want. I don't actually have to add any more water to it. I don't think that's really the answer you wanted, but it's kind of dependent upon the type of painting that you do, right? I mean, quite honestly, there is quite a bit to that. If you do a lot wet and wet, then you're going to need to be a lot wetter with your painting, and that would mean that whatever brushes you have need to be loaded up a lot more. So kind of another example is I absolutely adore my mop brushes, my quill brushes. Excuse me. And they're all squirrel hair. Squirrel is renowned for holding a ton a ton of water. And I got one right here. If I were to load this, this happens to be by this manufacturer, number 5. I could almost paint one layer of paint on this entire painting with this brush. It holds so much water. And for my particular style like this, I can't use it. It's too much. KB, let's see. Thanks for your instant help. I think also I just have to keep practicing and see what I like. I've been struggling for a couple of years and still struggle finding my style, i.e. wet and dry. Okay, cool. That's a great struggle to have. And I'm going to kind of say that, that's a struggle everybody should have. And it's not a fun struggle a lot of the time because it's hard, right? You might not know how you want to paint. You might see somebody paint a certain way and go, that's really cool. This was my experience. You see somebody paint a certain way and go, that's really cool. I want to try that. And for the life of me, I couldn't do it. Right? I couldn't figure it out. Maybe I didn't have the right teaching. Maybe I didn't have the right tools. Maybe I didn't have the right timing. Whatever it was. It was a lot of struggle for me to figure out how I paint. Took a few years to figure it out. Not saying that's a normal thing for everybody, but for me, there were some times where things went better. There were some times when things went worse. There was a lot of experimentation, and this is kind of what I stumbled on as being my style. A lot of hard edge, soft edge, hard edge, soft edge, hard edge, soft edge. A lot of blending. It's what I like to do. I just kind of incorporated it into my style of painting. You'll find it for you. Like I said, I probably won't come overnight. May not come easily, but you'll find it. You'll figure it out. I would encourage you to continue to test and try different things, but don't exclude the things that you're good at. Right? Be honest with yourself. What am I good at? What do I like to do? If I'm going to sit down and do something on a Wednesday night, what would I like to do? Right? Am I going to want to sit down and get the entire page wet and see if I can paint something interesting in a wet style? Or, and maybe you're going to want to do that right away because you've just been trying it. But, after a little while, is that what you want to do? I don't know. Maybe not. If it persists, if you continue to enjoy watercolor painting and one style persists over time, lean into it. Don't try to fight it, and don't always try to go, well, I want to do something different and push yourself to always do something different, because sometimes the different isn't always better. It's a hard thing to figure out what your own personal style is. It's a lot of leaning in and trying to just be honest with yourself. Let's see, Susie, the more water versus paint, the more bubbles on the surface of the paper, the more tide marks and blooms. Yeah, I don't know. I'm too late. I've got tide marks here. I'm gonna help myself by getting this a little wetter. My favorite M-gram paints here are letting me down a little bit. Well, they're not. I'm letting me down. I know it, and I don't know why I don't pay attention to it. The neutral tint on this kind of paper, if you don't wet it right away, it's gonna leave a tide mark. Oh, look at him. He's starting to get a nice beard here, a nice mustache. Painting is a journey. Painting is definitely a journey. I like O's because I can fix anything. And with watercolors, a screw up isn't always a happy accident. Yes, it is. Beard is looking good so far. Thank you. Some painters like tide lines. I know. I can only take so many of them. Aliz, thanks. I've also been trying tons of different brands of brushes. Oh, yeah. Oh. Different brands, different styles. They're all different. They all react different. They all perform different. It's something to try to behold, all the differences that are out there, for sure. Right? There are a lot. And the best brushes, I honest to God, I have some very expensive brushes, and they sit in my holster. My holster. My brush holster. They sit in my brush caddy. I don't use them. Because for me, the way I paint, they don't work the way I want them to. They're wildly expensive, and I'm probably never, ever going to get rid of them, but I probably never, ever will use them again either, because I can't get them to work right. And I've got some relatively inexpensive brushes that work fantastically. And like I said, for my style, for my usage, it just works. So don't be afraid to, well, I guess I would say don't necessarily be afraid to buy an expensive brush, because it's expensive. Right? If you get an expensive brush and it works great, you'll have it for 10 years, 15 years before you wear the tip off of it, probably. And you'll get a lot of life out of it. But by the same token, don't overlook the cheaper brushes, because in today's day and age, there are a number of cheaper brushes that are really pretty good. And I don't mean cheap like snap brushes, although those aren't bad. But there are a lot of relatively inexpensive brushes that are pretty stinking good. Dana, let's see. Well, we're talking about best paintings now. Are we? Let's see. I'll keep using them all. I've also been trying tons of different brands of brushes. Yeah. Keep them. Don't, at least in the short term. Until you figure it out, keep them. And then even after you figure it out, don't get rid of them. I'm terrible. I love brushes. Brushes are one of those things that I don't think we could ever have enough of, because they're fantastic. They don't cost all that much. We get a lot of enjoyment out of them when they do exactly what we want them to do. They make our job as an artist so much easier, so much nicer. And I have to say, I think I've lost my way on his beard here a little bit. How does his beard look? I guess it doesn't look that bad, does it? I don't have white to put back in. I guess it's not that bad. Give me a little bit of water here. A little bit of an explosion in here. I don't know about do his eyeball. Oh my god, I forgot all about his eyes. Oh my god, I forgot all about. Okay, I'm gonna do his eyes. Oh, I forgot his eyebrow too. He's got an eyebrow up there. Oh my lord. All right, I'm gonna do this with just some quick lines there. There's his eyebrow. Okay, so I'm gonna put in a little bit of blue in his eyes before I do anything. Right. A lot of people like white. Whites. What's the white of your eye? Holy cow! What do you call the whites of your eyes? The whites of your eyes are the. All right. Who took a high school class here? High school. Oh my gosh. Biology class. Who took a high school biology class? What are the whites of an eye called? It can't be just called whites of an eye. It's got to be something more than that. Has to be, right? So what was I saying? Oh, anyway, I don't like. I like my whites not to be too white. That's me. That's how I roll. So I like to put a little bit of blue in the whites of your eyes so they don't seem unnatural. In this instance, I put a little bit of Cobalt Blue in there, and I've also now put a little bit of line under his eyes there. Should help him stand out a little bit more. His beard doesn't. His beard is unnaturally white. I just said I don't like white. Now his beard is unnaturally white. It's so white. He's he's like the Santa Claus of gnomes. Susie Moon says, Sadiq, I can never master the water brush. Let's see, Sadiq says, pretty much all of my painting is done on a nature journal. I use a water brush so I don't have to worry about carrying water. I'm going to take a little different stand. I love the water brush. I just don't like using it as a water brush. I think the bristles on most water brushes, I think, are wonderful. I just don't like that they force all the water through there. The white part is the sclera. That's it. That's it. That's it. So, Siddiqui, when I use a water brush, I just use it as a brush. I don't use it as a water brush. I know that probably defeats the purpose, but I do like the way that the bristles stand out. They stand up. They're very straight. They hold their shape really well, and even without forcing water through them, they typically are very good and very consistent, which is even better. Very consistent about metering out water onto your page. I have often wondered why we don't use those bristles in other brushes, because they seem to be a bit coarser. I mean, they're still soft, but they seem to be a bit coarser than other brushes. Wow, that eye, what I look up here and this one eye looks so much bigger than the other one. That should level it out a little bit. I don't know. He's getting pretty close. Tracy, you have some nice nature journal books. I have one nice nature journal book. He's coming to life. He's finally coming to life. Hold on. I have. This is my. It's not specifically a nature journal, but in essence, if you read through it and everything, it's a nature journaling book about getting out and journaling in nature. If anybody wants a nice book about watercolors, I do like this book, the complete Watercolors Essential Notebook. It's got plenty of stuff in here, lots of great stuff. I'm not going to go through the book because I can do that at a different time. Liza, you think he's cute? Thank you. I think he's getting there. I just want to knock down some of this white. I look at it, and to me, this is an avalanche of white. So I'm going to knock down some of this color. I've got, for anybody who doesn't know, I've got 3 different water bottles up here, water jugs up here. And I don't know that this is anything that's anybody else does or doesn't do. And I don't know if it's something that most people would want to do even, but I typically use water out of the rightmost jug. I'm giving away all my secrets here. Now I use water out of my rightmost jug, and that's my general water. And then the second one over from that, I go into after I've cleaned it in the first one. And the next one over from that, I'll only go into after I've cleaned my brush in the other 2, so that if I ever need to get clean water, like now, then I always make sure that I have clean water. I have water that's kind of tinted, and then I have water that's everything else too. All right, I'm liking him a little bit more now that his color is, I have a hard time, you all know, I have a hard time with that stark whiteness. I look at it and I'm like, there's nothing that's that stark and white. But a little color here and a little color there, and I think it solves that problem quite nicely. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Wow, I think I did this whole painting, or nearly this whole painting, with one brush. I don't normally do that. I normally flip back and forth. Oh, I can't do. I was going to paint that lip there. But that's it. Eliza, you do that. You have multiple water chucks. Oh my God. Susie, looks like... his hat looks like the sorting hat. Oh. CDK, one of my microscopes allows me to look at bugs and other cool stuff. Camera versus microscope. Next time you see slides on the big screen. That's cool. Oh my God. Oh, looks like the Harry Potter sorting hat. That's hysterical. Okay, I'm looking at him right now. You know what I do need to do? I just noticed I need to do something here. I got a knuckle and a knuckle. a knuckle over here. Just a little indication of something going on, right? You guys can't even hardly see it. Look, just some tiny little lines on that knuckle there. I'm going to reaffirm a couple of lines on this hand too. Knuckle, knuckle, knuckle. Maybe some of that blue. Push that back underneath there a little bit. I don't know, something like that. I think I'm just playing at this point. Okay. So, what do I want to do? This is what I like to do. Give me a different color brush. It's time. I think it's time that we do a little bit. What is that brush? It's very versatile. Which brush? The one I've been using? Oops. For the vast majority of this, the brush that I've been using is... That's terrible. You can't even see it. All the writing is off of that. So these are the brushes that I've been using, right? I got these from King Art. I hope you can see that. King Art. I bought a whole set of them, like 12 of them or something like that. I bought them because these are pointed round brushes. I have plenty of brushes like this that don't come to a fine point. Right, let me, come on, get a little bit wet. Right, this is also a round brush. And you can see it doesn't come to a very fine point. Now, I like this, I wish, this is a Da Vinci brush. I wish Da Vinci would make this bristle in a pointed brush. If they did, I think they'd really have something great here. But they don't. So, I like to have a nice fine point on mine. So when I saw these go on sale, these are the 90-20 series. You can see it down here at the end, 90-20. I bought this set and I've been using them for a couple of years and I love these brushes. They hold a fair amount of water, a decent amount of water. The water comes off very consistently, whether it's at the beginning or at the end of the dampness on the brush, very consistently, very smoothly. They feel good in the hand. They look good to look at. I like them very much. Okay, but what I was going to do, Jeannie, you love King Art. You have lots of them. Okay, awesome. That's great. The pinky. Okay, so let's talk about some good and bad here, right? What things turned out really well? Well, I'm going to say the hat was honestly... It's a little dubious. There are a lot of folds in that reference photo. Did I show you guys the reference photo? Just there it is. That's what the original hat looked like. That's what the whole original thing looked like, right? Not quite my drawing. Pretty close. But that's it. So that hat has a lot of detail in it. I actually think the hat turned out really good. Right? You look at it and you can definitely see there's a bunch of folds in there. It may not, this fold may not be exactly right. This fold may not be exactly right. It doesn't, none of it matters. None of it matters. What matters is you look at it and you see a hat that has, this point. You can see it comes up to a little curl. Your eye's going to say it's folded over that way, it's folded over that way, and it comes back this way. It's got some shading down here. It's got some shading down here. It looks like there's a lot of dimensionality in this hat. And dimensionality is one of the things that I really look for. Put a few lines around his eyes. I don't know. I don't know. I'll think about the eyes. I like the ears, right? You look at his ears, this definitely looks like that's sunken back into his head. You can just imagine that those ears go way back in there, right? A little coloration on the top here to give some dimension. And this shadow that comes all the way out on each of these sides shows that these go back deep, right? And then some outlines to show that there's some texture in there. I love the boots. I love the way the boots turned out. I think they're really great. They do look kind of soft. They look more moccasin-y, except for the point to me. I think they turned out great. And I don't know if you guys can see it quite so much, but I love the coloring on the hand back here. I just put a little bit of that Cobalt Blue down here. And I think it works to just give a variation of color up underneath his hand there. So you can, so it looks like his hand is, there you go. So it looks like his hand is folded over. And yes, that's the index finger. That's what it is. I kind of knew the beard and mustache was going to be difficult for me. I didn't think it was going to be quite as difficult as it is. Maybe a number of smaller individual lines would be great in here. But honestly, if you look at it, you just see some texture in what you know is hair. And if you look here, you can definitely see that his mustache is separate from his beard. His mustache is separate from his beard. And that gives, again, some more dimensionality to the painting. So some really good things to look at in here. Maybe what's not so good, I don't know about this hand. It's a little weird, but the drawing is a little weird. The length of these got to be a little too much. This should have been, you know, maybe we'll lop this end off or something. I'm not sure. This whole hand seems a little odd to me, but that's okay. That's okay. And then again, his eyes I don't think are bad. He's a gnome, right? He doesn't have to have eyes like everybody else. And I like the coloring on his face. His nose is definitely different than his cheeks. His cheeks have these little light spots on them. So you know that they come out a little bit more, and it recesses back in here where it goes into his beard and around his nose. So actually I'm kind of happy with the way that turned out. Simple, not too much there, but just enough to give a little bit of something. So that's all I've got for tonight. I'm going to sign this and call this one done. There we go. Next week is the challenge. Let me do this. How about that? Now you got to look at me. Next week is... Oh, I said that whole thing and I was muted. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to have to fix that. I thought that was going to be good. Had this whole soliloquy out there. So what I said was next week is the challenge of steps and stairs. Right? Steps and stairs kind of tell a story. They go from someplace to someplace else. And that in itself should tell a bit of a story. Plus, steps and stairs can take so many different forms that can add a lot of interest to whatever we paint. I'm going to put on the community channel a poll for the things to paint the following week. I've got I've got them drawn out already. I've got a toucan, a chameleon, and a lighthouse. Right? The toucan, because I like painting birds, and I think it'll be fun. A chameleon, another animal, a lot of organic shapes, a lot of curvilinear shapes to the chameleon. Could be fun to paint. And then a lighthouse, because I think by nature of what it is and the history of watercolors, we shouldn't get too far away from landscapes or seascapes or architecture. That's kind of how they developed those three things. We've just used them for different things now and have fun with it. So I'll put that up. Everybody can vote on that. But next week will be my version of the challenge for Steps and Stairs. Hope to see you all next week, next Wednesday, here in the studio at 7 p.m. Pacific, when we'll do that. Until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your night. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I hope you're able to join me back here again next week. Thank you all so much for joining me. I had a wonderful time. I hope you all had as good of time here painting this little guy with me as I had painting with you. Until then, thank you so much. Have a great evening. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.